What is up, everybody? Today I feel like absolute dog water. I have been sick for about 3 to 4 days, and I had a fever yesterday. The day before that, I lost my voice completely. So I've been pretty much on the struggle bus for almost a week now, and I am still gonna go and run. Now, this is something that I've been doing ever since I was a teenager and in the military and up to now. I always make sure that I stay at least somewhat active while I'm sick, just to keep the systems up and running. And wait, disclaimer first, I'm not a doctor. I am not a physical trainer. I'm none of those things. So definitely 100% do not take my advice. This is just my experience with running and exercising while I'm sick. And this is stuff that works for me. So if you're sick and you want to go out and run, 100% consult your doctor, consult your physician, whatever it may be, or whoever it may be, but definitely don't take my advice. This is purely for me to tell you what my experience is while I'm sick and running. So let's jump right into it. I'm not saying that I'm just gonna maintain my training plan and do everything that I would do if I wasn't sick. These are the 3 things that I really set in place when I'm sick to make sure that it is the most efficient and effective way to just prime my body to have the ability to recover and not make myself sicker by pushing it too hard or trying to pretend that I'm not sick and kind of overreaching. So let's jump right into it. For the first thing that I want to set up when I'm running while I'm sick is my environment and making sure it's as clean and as appropriate as possible. Now, I'm lucky because I have an actual treadmill in my house, so I don't have to go out to a public gym. I don't have to worry about wearing a mask or not trying to get anybody else sick. So I can just be as sweaty and cough wherever the hell I want to on my treadmill. Now, I'm just like everybody else. I don't like to spend hours and hours on the treadmill, but when I'm sick, I'll make sure that I'm basically doing all my runs on a treadmill because I do have a pretty bad sensitivity to pollen, especially in Virginia where I'm at right now. This area is like a tornado of mold and pollen, and I just get destroyed by it. So when I'm sick, I always make sure that I'm trying to avoid the pollen and the outside sources that could make me sicker as much as possible. So making sure everything is clean, there's not a bunch of extra, dog fur or dust, wiping everything down and making sure that my area that I'm actually working out in is super clean and the environment that I'm working out in is super clean. Now, I will sometimes go out and I'll go and run when I'm sick, but I have to wear a mask to avoid the pollen. My biggest thing is I have asthma, and then my asthma gets triggered by the pollen, and then I start wheezing, and if I'm already sick, my lungs will be inflamed, and then I'll be sick, and I'll just get absolutely destroyed. So trying to make things as clean as possible in the area I am is definitely the first thing that I do. The second thing about the actual working environment is just the stress level. So I always make sure that I wear a heart rate monitor when I'm working out when I'm actually sick, just because your body's gonna feel a little off. Like your muscles might be a little bit more sore. Some systems might be not firing or firing too much. So it's a lot harder to go off of perceived effort than your heart rate. So I always make sure that I wear a heart rate so I'm not jumping out of that zone 2. I mean, I'm not gonna go anything over zone 2 when I'm sick. I'm gonna stay very, very low, if not only in zone 1, that recovery pace, and low in zone 2. So I make sure that my heart rate is super, super low. The goal is just to keep the blood moving, just to keep the body primed. I'm not trying to increase any movements. I'm not trying to do any workouts or anything like that. The only thing that I'm focusing on is getting a little sweat going, keeping the body nice and primed, and getting those little endorphins and that mood altering stuff in your brain from actually moving your body. So that's what I'm after, and that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not trying to get a PR. I'm not trying to make sure that I'm increasing my fitness. I'm just trying to maintain. I'm just trying to keep the body moving and keep the blood moving. But that's definitely one thing that I always try to make sure is that I'm not breaking down my body while I'm sick. So even lifting weights, usually I'll go and lift weights before or after my runs. And while I'm sick, I usually just cut off the actual weightlifting completely because I'll get all those micro tears, and then you have to use my body or use my nutrients or use my fuel to actually start recovering some of the muscles instead of fighting off whatever evil is inside of me. So I try to keep it nice and easy for my body, staying in that aerobic zone, staying in that zone 1, maybe lower zone 2, but just really running at a slow pace and just trying to get the blood moving. I mean, I typically will run at like a 10 to 12 minute mile pace. So I always just have to remind myself, don't get fucking cocky. Don't go and try to get a workout in or extra miles in. Just get the blood moving, stay nice and primed, and elevate that mood just a little bit. The second thing that I always make sure when I'm sick and I'm trying to run, trying to exercise, is stay hydrated. And this goes back to the military, the good old hydrate or die kind of days. Hydrate or die. Take a knee, drink water. But this does really freaking help. Even when I'm not running or like trying to stay active when I'm sick, I always make sure that I up my hydration levels by almost 2 times. So typically I'll try to drink around 3 to 4 liters of water a day when I'm running. And then when I'm sick, I try to bump that up to like 5 or 6, 7 liters of water. It's a disgusting amount of water. So I'm always making sure that I'm carrying my jug of water with me throughout the day. And then if I do have access to some electrolytes, then I will use some electrolytes. Usually use like 1 or 2 packets of liquid IV or whatever electrolytes that I have. So just dump some of that in to the pack. And I'm basically doing this multiple freaking times a day, trying to stay as hydrated as possible, trying to get a piss out maybe every 2 to 3 hours during the day, and making sure that I'm getting in as much hydration and electrolytes as possible, just because generally it just makes me feel a lot better, especially when I'm sick. Your body is in war right now. So when you're sick, your body's trying to fight off whatever infection or virus or bacteria is in your body. And a lot of your blood, a lot of your movement in your body, and this is complete bro science. I mean, even the way I'm explaining it makes me feel like I'm like chewing on a rock or something. But basically, you're using all that hydration, your body's cycling everything through, trying to go to battle with the virus. And the more water you have, the better you're going to be. And if you're working out while you're sick, your body's already using a lot of your hydration. Your body's you're already utilizing a lot of your nutrition to try to repair itself, try to fight off that infection, try to fight off whatever sickness you have going on. So the more water, the better. I mean, don't fucking go crazy about it. Don't like overhydrate or be fucking insane about it. But like the more liquid that you have in your system, or the more liquid that I have in my system, the better I feel, and the quicker I actually get better. So hydration is one thing that I'm always making sure that I'm constantly drinking while I'm sick. Another thing is nutrition. I mean, nutrition is going to be always the building blocks of rebuilding. I mean, if you're putting in clean fuel, you're going to rebuild a lot better, a lot more efficiently. If you're eating a bunch of bullshit like pizza or McDonald's, then your body's going to have to put extra effort to digest that food, and then you're going to have a bunch of extra bullshit in your system that you probably don't need. So typically I try to eat, and I say typically, I do have my weak points where, you know, sometimes I do feel a little pee-poo, and I just want some happiness, some happy meal, and, you know, enjoy some food with the family. So yeah, I'll get a double Big Mac and a 10-piece chicken nugget, a large fry, and a large Coke. That's my McDonald's order. I may look like I run and I'll do all this shit, but I have my fatty moments. I have my fatty moments quite a bit. But typically, on a day-to-day basis, I try to eat pretty healthy, especially when I'm sick. So my go-to meal for when I'm sick is air fryer chicken wings, like no extra oil or anything like that. Just throw them in the air fryer. Garlic, salt, pepper, some onion powder. Just put them in there till they're nice and crispy. And then I'll have like a cup of rice and then a bowl of salad. So I'll have my greens, I'll have my I'll have my greens, I'll have my lean protein, my nice good protein, and then my nice clean carbs. So it's just something that's really easy to digest, nothing extra, nothing that my body will freak out on or possibly get diarrhea or something crazy like that. So just nice clean fuel with a bunch of hydration. And that is definitely one thing that I try to make sure that I prioritize when I'm sick, especially when I'm working out, just because if I accidentally go a little bit too hard when I'm working out, or if I go too long, I want to make sure that I have ample calories and ample hydration to not only help rebuild for that workout, but also I have ample fuel to help fight off whatever sickness that I actually have going on in my system. And this, once again, is one thing that might be annoying, because when you are sick, a lot of times you don't want to eat or you want to go towards those crappy foods. There has been a lot of times, especially in the military, when I knew that I had to perform, and even if I was sick or whatever, there was a lot of times when I force fed myself to make sure that I get at least the minimum amount of calories, because I knew if I didn't have that fuel, I wouldn't get better, or it would take a lot longer to get better. And even if I had to go out on a mission while I was sick, or if I was called upon to do something when I was sick, at the very least, I needed that fuel in my system, even if I didn't feel like eating, even if I was on the verge of throwing up, just force feeding that freaking food into my face so that I had the fuel to actually perform, to actually recover, and to actually get better. So that's my stance on eating and hydrating while sick, and generally in life, just making sure that you have the fuel that you need to perform the task that is at hand. Now moving on to number 3, and that is spreading the stress out. So as you can see, I'm outside and I'm just walking. I'm just taking it nice and easy, going for a nice walk, trying to get some sunlight, even though the clouds just came up, but trying to get some sunlight, some vitamin D, trying to be in nature, trying to boost that mood up. And that has really helped me. And that has always really helped me in the past while I'm sick, trying to get a little bit better. So spreading the load not only means just sometimes lowering the amount that you're actually running, but lowering the overall stress on your body from your training. So instead of running for an hour, I'm out walking for an hour and a half, or I'm out walking for 2 hours, making sure that I have a lot of fuel with me, a lot of hydration with me, and just taking it nice and easy, but getting the miles in, getting the body, the foot turnover in, and not doing anything crazy where I could actually start breaking down my body like I was talking about when I was on the treadmill earlier. So just keeping it nice and easy, spreading that stress levels out, and not trying to breathe in any extra bullshit that will get me sick, like I was saying on tip number 1. So I may look like a goober walking around on the trail with a mask on, but always wear a mask when I'm running because of my sensitivity to pollen. I wear this Cambridge like sports mask, even on sometimes when I'm just running normally, when the pollen levels are super high and I know it's gonna absolutely destroy me, I'll wear this mask while I'm running. It completely sucks, but it does allow me to actually get my runs in and not get sick from ingesting so much freaking pollen and having issues with my asthma. Another thing, other than just lowering it to zone 1, zone 2 runs, or just lowering it to running, is cutting up my runs. So if I do want to actually go out and run, I'll usually split them up into 2 runs during the day. So instead of doing 8 miles or 10 miles all at once, I'll wake up in the morning, get some fuel in me, get some food in me, do 1 run for about 30 minutes, and then I'll let my body recover. And then maybe during the evening time, that's when I'll actually do my 2nd run. So I'm doing the same amount of miles, but I'm breaking it into 2 actual runs on the treadmill or outside on a little bit lower path. It does take a little bit more time than getting it and knocking it all out in one run, but the amount of stress on your body is way less if you cut it up into 2 separate runs, or if you just go out for a nice leisurely walk. So that's number 3, spreading the stress out, spreading the load out. If you have to go out for a walk, you're just gonna have to walk for a little bit longer. If you have to go out for 2 runs, then you're just gonna have to separate them out throughout the day. So I got about 30 minutes left on my walk. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Those are the 3 things that I do when I'm sick, but I still wanna exercise and I still wanna work out. That's setting up the environment as appropriate as possible, as clean as possible, making sure that I'm monitoring my heart rate and my effort levels to a very, very stringent amount. And then number 2, hydrate. Make sure that you're properly hydrating and eating as clean as fuel as possible. And then the last and final one is spreading out that stress level, spreading out those stress levels so you don't create extra stress on your body while your body is trying to figure out what the fuck is going on inside of you and is going to war with the infection or bacteria or whatever the hell is happening inside your body. Because when you're sick, your body's at war. So try to be helpful and don't try to create more of a problem for your system while you're out there. But once again, get out there, chip away. Even if you're sick, do it smart. Don't take my advice, not a doctor, but if you are gonna run when you're sick, be smart about it, be safe about it, and take care of yourself so then you can get out there and go grind it out and crush it again. Should I be fucking sleeping and relaxing right now? Probably.